Have you ever received something that, instead of bringing joy, left you feeling uneasy or drained? It might be a comment, a gift, or even unwanted advice. In Buddhism, everything carries energy, and not all energy is positive. Today, we'll uncover 5 things you should never receive from anyone if you want to protect your inner peace. Buddhism teaches us that mindfulness isn't just a practice, it's a way of life. The things we allow into our lives shape our inner world. Why is it so crucial to be selective? It's all about energy exchange. Accepting negativity or unhealthy influences can block our path to happiness and spiritual growth. As the Buddha taught, protecting our energy is as important as practicing compassion. Imagine a life where your thoughts, relationships, and surroundings are in harmony. The secret? It lies in what you choose to accept and what you kindly refuse. In this video, we'll explore how avoiding certain influences can lift your spirit and strengthen your relationships, from gifts to words and even negative opinions. By the end of this short journey, you'll gain the knowledge to create a life filled with peace, balance, and positive energy. So, join us now with an open heart and learn how to say no when necessary. If this resonates with you, please like and subscribe to our channel, Buddhist Applications, for more mindful insights. Let's dive in. In our modern world, digital clutter is something we all encounter. Often, it enters our lives unnoticed, slowly disturbing our peace and clouding our minds. According to Buddhist teachings, what we allow into our consciousness deeply affects our well-being. So let's begin with the first thing you should never accept from anyone: negative news and content. Negative news can overwhelm the mind. We scroll through headlines, and before we know it, we've absorbed fear, anger, and sadness. This is what some call doom scrolling. The more we consume negativity, the more it influences our state of being. In Buddhism, the mind is compared to a garden. What you plant and nurture is what grows. If we constantly feed our minds with negative content, we can't expect inner peace to blossom. The Buddha taught us that we must be mindful of what we expose our minds to. Consuming endless streams of negativity will only pull us further from enlightenment. Here's a story. A friend of mine was once glued to her phone, reading news after news, each headline darker than the last. She found herself more anxious and irritable each day. She couldn't figure out why her peaceful mornings of meditation felt disrupted. When she reduced her new intake, everything changed. Her mind became clearer, her meditation practice deepened, and her stress faded. This is a powerful reminder. We need to create boundaries for what we let in, especially in our digital lives. The second part of digital clutter we must be mindful of is unsolicited advice, especially on social media. In the digital age, it seems everyone has advice to offer, whether you ask for it or not. While some guidance can be valuable, unsolicited advice often leads us astray. It can plant seeds of doubt and confusion. Have you ever received advice from someone online that made you question your decisions or yourself? This happens more often than we realize, and it can be harmful to our journey of personal growth and development. In Buddhism, discernment is key. The Buddha encouraged his followers to not accept something simply because it was told to them by others. We are called to evaluate whether advice aligns with our values and inner truth. Just as we curate our physical environment, we must do the same with our digital space. Accepting every piece of advice or information is like collecting clutter. Too much, and we become overwhelmed. It's crucial to ask, does this serve me? Does this align with my goals for inner peace, self-help, and personal development? Here's a tip. Whenever advice comes your way, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself if it resonates with your deeper self. If it does, keep it. If it doesn't, let it go without attachment. By doing this, we not only protect our energy, but we also honor our journey toward Buddhist enlightenment. You don't have to follow every suggestion, especially from unverified or uninformed sources. The internet is vast, and the information it offers can both heal and harm, so we must be mindful. Create digital boundaries. You may even find it helpful to schedule breaks from social media or news consumption. Consider curating your online space to only include positive influences that nourish your mind and spirit. Remember, the key to manifesting a peaceful life is in making intentional choices about what we allow into our consciousness. As we continue this journey through the 9 things to never accept from anyone, remember that your energy is precious. Protecting it from unnecessary digital clutter, whether it's negative news or unsolicited advice, is a vital step toward inner tranquility. In the next sections, we'll delve into even deeper aspects of what we should mindfully avoid in our relationships and physical environment. But for now, take a moment to reflect on your own digital consumption. Is there anything weighing you down? Is there content you might let go of to create space for peace? By being aware of these digital influences, we begin the process of freeing ourselves from unnecessary burdens. Let's continue this journey toward mindfulness and peace together. Toxic relationships. Relationships are at the core of our existence, but not all relationships nourish us. According to Buddhist practices, relationships should be built on compassion and mutual respect. However, some relationships bring unnecessary suffering, and we must learn to recognize when to protect our energy. In this section, we'll explore the importance of not accepting emotional baggage and blame from others. First, let's talk about emotional baggage. Often, we find ourselves carrying the weight of others' emotions, even when it's not our responsibility. This can happen in personal relationships, friendships, and even in professional settings. Someone close to you may be going through difficult times, and naturally, you want to help. But the key here is to help without losing yourself. Buddhism teaches us about compassionate detachment, being there for others while maintaining our inner peace. When you accept someone's emotional baggage as your own, it drains your energy and peace of mind. You may feel anxious or overwhelmed as if their problems have become your own. Remember, supporting others doesn't mean carrying their weight. Zen principles remind us that we must be grounded in our own sense of self before we can truly help anyone else. Think of it as being a calm rock in a stormy sea, offering stability to those around you without being swept away by their emotions. Here's an example. A friend of mine was always taking on the emotional challenges of her partner. Whenever he faced difficulties, she felt it was her duty to fix things for him, often at the expense of her own well-being. Over time, she began to feel exhausted and disconnected from herself. Through practicing compassionate detachment, she learned to support him without taking on his emotional baggage. This allowed her to maintain her peace while still being a loving presence in his life. If you find yourself in a similar situation, try this Zen practice. When someone shares their emotional struggles, listen mindfully. Acknowledge their pain, but avoid the instinct to solve or absorb it. After the conversation, take a moment to breathe deeply and reconnect with your own energy. Remember, helping others doesn't require losing yourself. Next, let's discuss blame and guilt. These are powerful emotions that, if we accept them from others, can weigh us down. Have you ever been in a situation where someone projected their frustrations or mistakes onto you? Perhaps they blamed you for something that was out of your control. In Buddhist teachings, we are reminded to practice mindfulness and awareness of our inner state. It's essential to recognize when someone else's blame is not your burden to carry. Blame often comes with guilt, and guilt can trap us in a cycle of self-doubt. This cycle disconnects us from our true selves and disrupts the flow of personal growth. But here's an important truth. We are not responsible for the emotions or projections of others. By cultivating self-awareness, we learn to identify when blame is being unfairly placed on us. This is where Buddhist enlightenment and the power of mindfulness come into play. Imagine a scenario. You're at work, and a colleague has made a mistake on a project. Instead of taking responsibility, they blame you for the error. It's easy to absorb this guilt and feel responsible, but mindfulness teaches us to step back, reflect on the situation with clarity. Is this blame truly yours to accept? More often than not, you'll find that it's not. Practicing this awareness protects your mental clarity and ensures you don't carry unnecessary emotional burdens. In this case, a simple but powerful piece of advice is, let go of what's not yours. By doing so, you free yourself from the toxic patterns that blame and guilt create. This practice aligns with Buddhist principles, which teach us that peace comes from within, and that we must protect it from external disturbances. As we navigate relationships, it's vital to recognize when we are being weighed down by emotional baggage, blame, or guilt that isn't ours to carry. Let go with compassion, not only for others, but also for yourself. Practicing detachment doesn't mean disconnecting from the people you care about. It means creating healthy boundaries that allow you to support others without losing your inner balance. In the next section, we'll explore the physical objects and symbolic energy we should be mindful of in our surroundings. But for now, reflect on your relationships. Are there emotional weights or feelings of guilt you've been accepting unnecessarily? Take a moment to breathe, release, and reclaim your peace. It's time to protect your spirit and continue on your journey towards self-help, personal development, and inner peace. We'll move forward mindfully. Together, physical objects and symbolic energy. As we walk through life, we often overlook the energy tied to physical objects around us. In Buddhism, it is believed that everything carries energy, both the things we touch and those we bring into our homes. Whether it's a family heirloom or a gift from a friend, these objects can affect our spiritual well-being. In this section, we'll discuss two significant ideas: second-hand items with negative history and unsolicited gifts with strings attached. First, let's talk about second-hand items and their hidden emotional weight. When we buy or receive second-hand items, whether they are clothes, jewelry, or furniture, they may carry the energy of their previous owners. It could be energy tied to emotions, events, or even relationships from the past. While these items may appear harmless on the surface, they can impact the energy within your personal space. Buddhism teaches us that everything is interconnected. When we bring an item into our lives, we also bring in the experiences and energies tied to it. This is why it's essential to be mindful of what we accept, especially when it comes to secondhand objects. For example, an antique chair that once belonged to someone who experienced hardship might carry the emotional residue of those struggles. Even if you are unaware of the object's history, you may begin to feel its effects, feeling uneasy or emotionally drained. If you find yourself with a secondhand item, here's a Zen tip: cleanse the object's energy. A simple ritual can help purify the object. For instance, smudging it with sage or placing it under sunlight can help clear any negative energy. These mindful practices allow you to transform the item into something neutral or positive. The next time you receive a secondhand item, take a moment to cleanse its energy and set a fresh intention for its presence in your life. Next, let's explore unsolicited gifts with strings attached. At first glance, receiving a gift may seem like a kind gesture, but in some cases, it comes with unspoken obligations or expectations. In the teachings of the Buddha, the intention behind giving is more important than the gift itself. If someone gives you something with an expectation of repayment, whether through a favor, loyalty, or something else, it can lead to an imbalance in the relationship. Imagine receiving a gift from a coworker who later expects you to support them in an office dispute. While the gift may have seemed thoughtful at first, it becomes a tool for manipulation. Accepting such gifts can trap us into situations that go against our values, disrupting our personal growth and sense of freedom. Here's an example. A family member gifts you something valuable but constantly reminds you of it, expecting favors or help whenever they need it. This gift, which should have brought joy, becomes a burden. It begins to affect your relationship with them, and in turn creates inner turmoil. You feel the weight of unspoken expectations, leading to discomfort. In Buddhism, we are taught to practice right intention, meaning we should give and receive without attachment or expectation. When someone offers a gift, ask yourself, does this come with strings attached? If it does, you have every right to politely decline, or if you've already accepted it, to redefine the terms. It is always better to live with fewer possessions than to accept gifts that disturb your peace. Setting clear boundaries is a way to honor yourself and maintain balance in your relationships. If you ever feel uncomfortable about a gift, remember, you don't have to accept everything offered to you. Graciously decline or suggest an alternative way to appreciate the gesture without feeling obligated. This practice not only aligns with Buddhist principles of non-attachment, but also helps protect your mental clarity. In both cases, whether it's secondhand items or gifts with conditions, the lesson is clear. Be mindful of the physical objects you allow into your space. Just as we mindfully curate our thoughts and actions, we must also be aware of the material things that may carry unseen burdens. Each object holds energy, and it's up to us to decide whether that energy supports or hinders our path to personal growth. As we progress on this journey of self-help and mindfulness, let's remember that the things we accept into our lives, whether material or emotional, have a profound impact on our well-being. Be discerning, protect your energy, and always remember, your peace is worth more than any object or gift. In the next section, we'll delve into intangible influences that affect our minds and spirits. But for now, reflect on the physical objects around you. Are they serving your highest good, or are they weighing you down? With mindfulness, you can make space for only those things that uplift and nurture your soul. Intangible influences. In this next section, we will look beyond the physical objects we interact with and dive into the intangible influences that can shape our thoughts, emotions, and inner peace. According to Buddhist teachings, the way we respond to the unseen forces around us can determine the quality of our relationships, mental health, and personal growth. Today, we will focus on two main influences: negative opinions and unrealistic expectations from others. These, although intangible, can weigh heavily on our minds and disrupt our journey toward enlightenment. First, let's discuss negative opinions and how they can affect our lives. In the modern world, we are constantly exposed to other people's views, whether it's from family, friends, coworkers, or even strangers online. These opinions can come in the form of judgments about our life choices, appearance, career, or relationships. It's easy to absorb these negative thoughts and begin doubting ourselves. Buddhism encourages us to practice mindful listening when faced with the opinions of others. Just as we mindfully observe our breath during meditation, we can also observe these external thoughts without attaching ourselves to them. Ask yourself, does this opinion serve my personal growth? If it does not align with your values or your path, there is no need to hold on to it. Let me share a brief example. Imagine you're passionate about a career path that is unconventional or creative, but instead of receiving encouragement, you're met with criticism from someone close to you. They tell you that your choice is impractical or that you won't succeed. This is a negative opinion, and if you accept it, it can hinder your confidence and progress. However, if you practice mindful listening, you will recognize that their opinion comes from their perspective, not yours. You can acknowledge their viewpoint without internalizing it. By letting go of these opinions, you free yourself from their weight and create space for self-confidence and personal growth. In the words of Buddha, do not dwell on the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. In the present, your truth is what matters most. Next, let's move on to unrealistic expectations. These often come from well-meaning people, our parents, friends, or society at large, who project their ideas of success, happiness, or fulfillment onto us. However, their expectations may not align with our values, strengths, or desires. When we accept these unrealistic expectations, we begin to feel pressured, stressed, or even overwhelmed. Buddhism reminds us to let go of attachment to the expectations of others and instead focus on the present, living in alignment with our own truth. We must remember that each person's path is unique. What brings fulfillment to one individual may not bring fulfillment to another. Therefore, it is important to practice self-awareness and set clear boundaries when it comes to what we allow into our lives. For example, think about societal expectations regarding career milestones or personal achievements. You might be expected to reach a certain level of success by a certain age or to follow a traditional path in your professional life. But if that path doesn't resonate with you, pursuing it will likely lead to dissatisfaction, even if you achieve it. By practicing non-attachment to these external expectations, you can focus on your personal growth in a way that aligns with your values. It's okay to create your own timeline and define success on your own terms. This requires courage, but it also brings freedom. Remember, Buddha taught us the importance of right intention, living with purpose and clarity, not according to what others think you should do. One practical tip is to set boundaries. When faced with others' expectations, be honest and clear about your own goals and values. You might say, "I appreciate your concern, but this path feels right for me." Or, "I understand what you're saying, but I'm following my heart." By communicating your boundaries, you protect your peace and nurture your well-being. In summary, both negative opinions and unrealistic expectations are powerful, intangible influences that can disrupt our inner tranquility. However, with mindful listening and self-awareness, we can choose which influences to accept and which to gently let go of. The teachings of Buddhism guide us toward a life of peace, where we are no longer controlled by external forces, but live in harmony with our true selves. As we continue on this path, remember the importance of protecting your mental clarity and personal energy. Let go of the need to please others or conform to their ideals. Instead, turn inward, listen to your intuition, and align your actions with your deepest values. This is the way to true peace, and this is the path toward spiritual growth. In the next section, we will explore how to cleanse and protect your spiritual energy from negative influences. For now, reflect on the intangible forces in your life and consider, are they guiding you toward inner peace, or are they pulling you away from it? Overcoming attachment to possessions. In this final section, we delve into one of the most significant teachings in Buddhism: overcoming attachment to material possessions. Many of us live in a world where value is often measured by what we own. However, Buddhism teaches that attachment to material things can lead to suffering, clouding our minds, and obstructing the path to enlightenment. To truly grow, we must learn to let go and find joy in simplicity. To begin, let us examine the nature of attachment itself. Attachment in the Buddhist sense refers not only to physical possessions, but also to the ideas, relationships, and outcomes we cling to. By holding on to these, we bind ourselves to a cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. The more we desire, the more we fear losing what we have, and this creates anxiety. It's a never-ending loop that disrupts our peace. Possessions are often at the heart of this struggle. We grow attached to our belongings, whether it's our home, car, or even something as small as a cherished item of clothing. When we attach meaning to these objects, we give them power over our emotions. The more we hold on, the more we risk feeling loss or emptiness when these objects disappear. Buddha teaches us the importance of non-attachment. By embracing impermanence, we free ourselves from the fear of loss. We understand that nothing we own is truly ours. Everything is in a constant state of change. This is why many Buddhist practices, including meditation and mindfulness, help us cultivate a sense of detachment from material things. These practices remind us to focus on what is eternal: our inner peace, our growth, and our connection to the present moment. Think of a time when you lost something important to you: a phone, a piece of jewelry, or even money. How did it feel? Likely you experienced sadness or frustration. But now, consider this. The object itself held no true value other than what you assigned to it. By practicing non-attachment, we can shift our mindset. We start to realize that our happiness is not dependent on these external items, but is something we can cultivate from within. This concept is particularly important in today's consumer-driven society. We are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us to buy more, own more, and equate success with material wealth. But as the Buddha said, the root of suffering is attachment. We must remember that true happiness does not come from the accumulation of goods, but from freeing ourselves of the need for them. So how can we begin to let go of our attachment to possessions? It starts with awareness. Through mindfulness, we can observe the thoughts and feelings that arise when we think about our belongings. Do they make us feel secure? Do they bring us a sense of identity or status? Or do they serve a practical purpose in our lives? These are important questions to ask as we begin this process of inner reflection. Once we understand our attachments, we can begin to practice letting go. One way to do this is by simplifying. The minimalist movement, inspired by similar teachings in Buddhism, encourages us to live with fewer things. By reducing the number of possessions we own, we create more space, both physically and mentally, for the things that truly matter. This simplicity leads to greater clarity and focus in our lives. Another practice to help with non-attachment is generosity. When we give things away, we break the cycle of attachment. Whether it's donating items to charity or gifting something to a friend, this act of giving liberates us from the need to hold on to possessions. It reminds us that what we own is not truly ours, and we can find joy in sharing with others. For example, you might consider giving away clothes you no longer wear or items you no longer use. Each time you release something, observe how it feels. You may find that the initial hesitation fades and is replaced by a sense of freedom. As the Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. In letting go, we gain so much more: inner peace, emotional freedom, and a deeper connection to our spiritual path. Finally, we must remind ourselves that possessions are temporary. Even the most cherished items will eventually decay, break, or lose their value. By understanding impermanence, we can approach life with a sense of gratitude for what we have in the moment, without fearing its loss. It's this awareness of impermanence that helps us appreciate the present and focus on the aspects of life that truly matter. In conclusion, overcoming attachment to possessions is a vital part of the Buddhist journey toward enlightenment. Through mindfulness, simplicity, and generosity, we can begin to free ourselves from the grip of material things and move closer to inner peace. Remember that it's not what you own that defines your worth. It's your ability to live mindfully and with purpose. Letting go is not about loss. It's about making room for what truly nourishes your soul. As we conclude this section, take a moment to reflect on your relationship with your possessions. Are they serving you, or are you serving them? Are they enhancing your personal growth or holding you back? By reflecting on these questions, you can begin to practice non-attachment and move forward on your path to spiritual growth and fulfillment. As we come to the end of our exploration of whether Buddhists believe in God, it is essential to reflect on the core principles of Buddhism and the journey of personal development it encourages. Throughout the discussion, we saw how Buddhist practices lead to enlightenment, emphasizing mindfulness, self-awareness, and the power of silence. These teachings help us cultivate a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationships with others. Buddhism does not focus on a God who grants blessings, but rather focuses on the potential of each individual to find inner peace and clarity. The journey to enlightenment is unique for everyone, guided by practices that promote personal growth. Whether through meditation, mindfulness, or reflection on the nature of attachment, these methods help us navigate life with a sense of purpose and peace. Additionally, accepting the idea of impermanence helps us release attachments, leading to healthier relationships and personal satisfaction. When we practice letting go, we create space for growth and welcome new opportunities into our lives. This not only enhances our health, but also enriches our connections with others, fostering a sense of community and common understanding. Finally, remember that the essence of Buddhism lies in self-discovery and the pursuit of wisdom. Embrace these teachings and let them illuminate your path to a fulfilling life. As you continue your journey, consider subscribing to our channel for more insights into Buddhism, personal growth, and relationship advice. Together, we can explore the profound teachings of Buddha and support each other in our quest for enlightenment. Thank you for joining us on this journey. May you find peace, love, and wisdom in every step.